Today, our privilege is to hear our speaker, Stephen Poplin. He was a stranger to me until he presented his New Age comedy routine at one of our fellowship family reunions some years ago. At that time, I noted his keen mind, his ready wit, and his uplifting, light humor. Then Stephen came to live among us. I took his course in past life regressions with good results. I bought his 2 books, and I keep them on a shelf high in my home because they're over my head. I have enjoyed every interaction I've had with Stephen, and I feel joyful when I think of him. He's a person who enjoys his life, and in his own words, loves to travel, explore, compare, enjoy, and photograph. Whenever he speaks from our lectern, he shares from the wealth of what he has gained from his travels and from over 40 years of practice, observation, and insight as a therapist and a spiritual teacher. Stephen likes to play with words. At the end of some of his emails, he writes, "Have a great day, unless you've made other plans." Stephen Poplin.
Thank you for that, Dick. It's just like I wrote it. No, I didn't. Imagine my good fortune of living with Bruce Shelton here, and thank you for that wonderful music there. And imagine how it is just, minding my own business, and suddenly from a portion of the house comes piano music. Just, various times of the day, including 2 o'clock in the morning. It's been a pleasure. God's other door. "You are fettered," said Scrooge, trembling. "Tell me why." "I wear the chain I forged in life," replied the ghost. "I made it link by link, and yard by yard, I girded it on of my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it." That's from Charles Dickens, A Christmas Carol. We are coming to the end of a worldwide pandemic. Am I being optimistic? I don't think so. To me, it feels like, yes, the patient has been very ill, but recovering. But things have changed. People have died. Many of us lost friends and relatives. Who here? I just heard that Larry Jennings just lost his mother this weekend. We know someone else here that lost his mother. We have prayer lists and circles, people who focus upon those who have departed. I dedicate this talk to those who have transited from our 3rd dimensional earth plane. Edgar Cayce referred to this transition as God's other door. I'll be talking and reading from my book, Inner Journeys, Cosmic Sojourns, sometimes found on top shelves. It's subtitled, Life-Transforming Stories, Adventures, and Messages from a Spiritual Hypnotherapist's Casebook. This is from the chapter on ghosts stuck in emotions. There are those who, after death and as souls, got lost on the way home. We have met many so far. Essentially, they lost their way. Did they err? Did they go astray? Interestingly enough, the original Judeo-Christian concept of sin can be linguistically followed back to missing the mark, such as an arrow, and thus falling short of perfection. In essence, if we stick to this earlier meaning, this sin is not so bad after all. This type of sin is a delay and maybe a detour. Obviously, sin developed later into the terrible thing we know of today. Some of my clients discuss this missing the mark, being thrown off, and getting bogged down in some issue or other. Other souls, some of my clients, get completely thrown off and sometimes get disoriented. Cayce described a borderland where souls transition after life and sometimes get disoriented. I have had many of my clients tell me of past times when they stayed earthbound after physical death. They were brooding, some still working on something. One could say that they were haunted by some event or reaction. Some were confused and disoriented. Others were just taking a time out. And a quote from Cayce, "Many an individual has remained in that called death for what ye call years without realizing it was dead. The feelings, the desires for what ye call appetites are changed or not aware at all. The ability to communicate is that which usually disturbs or worries others. Then, as to say how long, that depends on the entity." That's from Edgar Cayce, reading 1472. Continuing from my book, Hungry Ghosts. In the Taoist tradition, it is believed that hungry ghosts can arise from people whose deaths have been violent or unhappy. These wandering souls are hungry for connection, for touch, food, revenge, or 1,000 things that humans want and have. The thing is, they can't get those things so easily without a body, without the third dimensional contact. They have left their bodies and are in search of something. Chinese Buddhists have old traditions of appeasing these lost souls through prayers, incense, offerings, and special days. Many Asian families also pay tribute to other unknown wandering ghosts, and they want to again appease them and protect themselves. They do not want to bring themselves misfortune. The concept of ghosts, wandering spirits, and even fairies and invisible beings can be found in many cultures. Modern thinkers might believe these hungry ghosts and lost souls is the stuff of superstition, but I don't. I have met some. Entities are souls. Cayce referred to our souls as entities when detached from our bodies. I use this term here in describing specific souls who are earthbound, sometimes attached to a person for company. Sometimes these entities are lost, lonely, or stuck in some emotion. And very often, a friendly child is good company and comforting. Yes, sometimes invisible friends to children might be lost souls, entities that might want to attach themselves to a sympathetic human. Do some people hear contrary voices in their heads? Don't raise your hands. Psychiatrists believe they know the answer to that question. Parapsychologists may have alternative views. Perhaps these voices belong indeed to separate individuals or personalities, and they are too close. Usually these ghosts or entities are hanging on too long. When I come across them, I request that they leave, often asking an angel to help us. Go to the light. Go to the source. Go home. Find your peace and family. How many times have I done that? It is time for some more ghost stories. Marilyn, who we met in the last chapter, is in a strange place. She just left the Native American life as Nerion, who lived with white people after her tribe was wiped out by the U.S. cavalry. After she wandered into this town, she kept to herself, had little trust for others, and one day keeled over and died. The sojourn continues. She says, I feel I'm laying somewhere gray. No body, of course. It feels good. It's dark around me. Some lights come from the dark. A dark light from afar. Still some darkness. I am like buried under the earth. A sad situation in some respects. Where am I? And I say, Nerion said she was happy at the end of her life, but she only survived. She lost everything and everyone close to her, and only had a place to live. And I let that sink in. Then she says, yes, a sadness, but then a sort of a peaceful quiet, a resignation. I lost a part of myself. There is a sadness, so I stayed there afterwards, 13 years buried. I accompanied her to the grave. I saw where Nerion was buried, a dusty place, sand. I saw this from above. There, not far away, was a little cemetery. It was a peaceful, quiet place, much better than where she was buried. And in parentheses, I have to note here, the white settlers buried this Indian outside of their cemetery. So she ventured on her own to this official burial place as a ghost and buried herself proper. And then I ask, and what happened after 13 years? I see light around me, bright around me. Then came blinking lights, lighter, bright. I float now. Feel free. A hand or a blinking energy reached out to me. Sometimes bright, then dark, blinking, all bright and light. It appears like a blinking traffic light. It seems like energy. Nice. I stay in this energy world, recovering. There are various vibrations around me, and a point near me, around me. It is all pleasant, resting here. I need that. And I say, great, you have found your peace. Please bring some light and peace to Marilyn today. This was a fascinating case. Not only was she a ghost, burying herself in her own grave in a Midwestern hillside, but the pattern remained. Today, Marilyn has been unconsciously looking for a place to rest. Her profession is working for the city in plots of land. working on official real estate agreements. I find this interesting and appropriate. She is tired of this boring work, however. May she move on as her ghost eventually did. Want to hear another one? Yeah. Nancy came to me to reconnect to her departed father, who had died about 5 years before. He visited her briefly after he died, and she wanted to renew that contact, to check in on him and ask how things were over there. She got a bit of a surprise in our session. This was not going to be about her father. I am in like a place in a city with many people, hectic, a market square, gray, all gray. I am bright, though. This is an interesting contrast to me, so I ask her, did something just happen? I'm there as if frozen. It is daytime, still there. On my left, some green, more color. On the right is this place with the people. I want to go left. And I say, you in the middle, searching, lost something. Did you just die? I feel a transition. I go up, float. I'm high, relatively high. I don't want to look down. No fear up here. I'm not on the earth. I am gone somewhere. Here by me, it is light. Around me, it is darker. I feel a bit lonely. I want to make contact, but I am in this capsule. I cannot make connections. A medieval feeling, gray, like the place before, that hectic market. Twilight now. I see myself still bright somehow. Others are darker. I roam around. But where to? No beginning or ending. I'm a girl. That life passed too quickly. Now I see myself in a carriage. I'm a woman, 33 years old. There is an accident, a river. I drown. I don't get where I want. Another voice declares, Nancy has been a wandering ghost for a long time. Yes, after that drowning so long ago, she was lost for a period of time. I prayed for her and asked for an angel to come to her aid. Please bring her home. After her spiritual allies came to her, she was released and could move on. Blessings. Another quote from Edgar Cayce. Pray oft for those who have passed on. It is well. Those who have passed through God's other door are oft listening for the voice of those they have loved in the earth. This is the nearest and dearest thing they have known in earthly consciousness. Then thy prayers direct them closer to that throne of love and mercy, that pool of light, yea, that river of God. I go on in my book, Inner Journeys, Cosmic Sojourns, and then I talk about spirit guides and karma, relationship plans while you're still up in heaven, and many other themes. I distilled around 40 years of my work talking with thousands of clients in trance states, as well as doing some studies. It is mostly about the journeys we all make, we all have taken. Some travels have been shortcuts, others detours, some dead ends, and other journeys that have been glorious adventures. It all depends. Let me leave you with this snippet from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here? That depends a good deal on where you want to get to, said the cat. I don't much care where, said Alice. Then it doesn't matter which way you go, said the cat. So long as I get somewhere, Alice added as an explanation. Oh, you're sure to do that, said the cat, if you only walk long enough. Have a great day, unless you've made other plans.